I love Dragon Ball. If you were to look around my room, you would see a lot of Dragon Ball shit. And it's really hard for me to remember a time when it wasn't in my life. But for the first 10 years of my life, Dragon Ball might as well not have existed. Sounds pretty miserable to me. So, why Dragon Ball? What makes it so special, and what even is Dragon Ball? This video isn't going to be a deep dissection of Dragon Ball. Rather, it's going to be a closer look at my relationship with Dragon Ball, what I love about it, and the kind of impact it's had on my life. This is Akira Toriyama, the mangaka who created Dragon Ball. This beast pushed out a chapter every week for over a decade. Inspired by such works as Journey to the West, Dragon Ball follows Son Goku and his many adventures travelling all over the world to find the 7 magic Dragon Balls. When brought together, these 7 balls will grant the user one wish. Along the way, Goku would make many allies and friends that would stick with him to the very end of the series. But he would also make his fair share of enemies, and he would use his martial arts skills to combat them. As the series went on, the more light-hearted, small-scale adventures would take a back seat in favour of high-action, high-scale conflicts between heroes and villains. Many would argue that it was this slow change in tone that made the anime team split the series into 2 halves. Unlike the manga, which remained just Dragon Ball throughout its serialization, the second half of the series would be known as Dragon Ball Z. Outside of Japan, this would be the part of the series many of us would come to know. High action, transformations, and a lot of screaming and muscles. From there, Dragon Ball became an icon of pop culture around the globe. As much as I would like to say that I was there during DBZ's Toonami days, I really wasn't. So, how did I actually cross paths with Dragon Ball? When I was a kid, I loved things like Thomas the Tank Engine, and also just making stuff, expressing my creativity through things like drawing and even Lego. I began to fall in love with films like Star Wars and The Incredibles. Life was simple. Life was good. But looking back on it today, I remember feeling a sense of longing for something more. I mean, really, come on. You can only look at the DVD menu for Cars so many times before asking the question, there has to be more to life than this. Little did I know back then was that the thing that I was looking for was Dragon Ball. But unfortunately, at this time, Dragon Ball was dead. You see, the series was so popular that after the manga ended in 1995, Toei Animation kept the series alive through Dragon Ball GT. However, after running for less than 2 years, GT came to an end, and from there, Dragon Ball did as well. There would be the odd video game or TV special, but other than that, Dragon Ball drifted away. But, from the ashes of a terrible live-action adaptation, Dragon Ball would rise again. The 2013 film, Battle of Gods, can claim to be seen as the Force Awakens of Dragon Ball, not in regards to its quality, but rather how it resurrected the series. The film kicked off the modern era of Dragon Ball, which spawned 2 anime series, multiple preceding films, and a host of video games and merchandise. Dragon Ball was back, and due to this resurgence of relevancy, me and Dragon Ball finally came into contact. As said before, Dragon Ball's stranglehold over pop culture was really before my time, but it wasn't before my brother's time. Alongside other shows like Yu-Gi-Oh!, he grew up with DBZ. So, with a new film on the horizon, Dragon Ball now back in the limelight, his interest in the series grew to a point where it began to come into my life. Seriously, it was getting bad back then. We'd be, playing together. I'd be kicking his ass as Boba Fett, and then all of a sudden he'd just say, "I am now a Super Saiyan God," which is like totally invincible and stuff.
What in heaven's name are you talking about?
I didn't get it. But that would all change. One day, my brother ran into my room and showed me a DVD of the first season of DBZ. He asked me, "Do you want to watch it?" I said yes. I just wanted to spend some time with my brother, but perhaps there was also something divine going on. Maybe. That might sound crazy, but that's how it feels looking back on it. Regardless, when I walked outside of my brother's room, after watching the first handful of episodes, I was now a Dragon Ball fan. But why? In order to understand the why behind my love for Dragon Ball, and why that love has persisted for all these years, I think it's only right that we have a bit of a deep dive into the contents of that DVD box set. This right here is a Dragon Ball Z DVD box set, typically known as the Orange Bricks. And they're probably the most well-known and affordable ways to watch the series. But at the same time, they're probably the most notorious. These things are plagued with baffling and awful decisions that completely butcher the series' original footage. But I'm not going to go deep into that. There are many other videos out there that break down these issues better than I ever could, but this disgusting brick is the box set that my brother brought to me all those years ago. Obviously, I was completely oblivious to all those visual shortcomings, but even today when I can acknowledge those shortcomings, this box set is how I experienced the first season of DBZ, and it was my first experience of Dragon Ball, period. So because of that, I'm always going to have a fondness for this thing. This box set contains the first season of DBZ, which primarily covers the Saiyan Saga, or, as the back of the box would tell you, it's called the Vegeta Saga, which is not, it's called the Saiyan Saga. But what is the Saiyan Saga even about? Well, to just quickly summarise, it's about redemption, class, perseverance through adversity, adventure, action. Okay, wait, let's just make this more simple. Let's just read the back of the box. The Saiyans are coming. The last survivors of a cruel warrior race. These ruthless villains have carved a path of destruction across the galaxy, and now they set their sights on Earth. They will stop at nothing until they have the wish-granting powers of the 7 magic Dragon Balls for their very own. With the fate of his family, friends, and the entire human race hanging in the balance, Goku, the Earth's greatest hero, must rise to meet the approaching threat. As he prepares for the fight of his life, Goku embarks on an epic journey that will take him to other worlds, pit him against new and old enemies alike, and force him to confront the dark secrets of his own past. At the end of his path, the most powerful opponent he has ever faced awaits, the evil prince, Vegeta. To go into a bit more detail, Goku at this point is the World Martial Arts Champion, and has even defeated the greatest threat the Earth has ever seen, Piccolo Jr. The Saiyan Saga takes place just 5 years later, and at this point, Goku has a wife, and even a son, and they are all enjoying a time of peace and prosperity.
But, unknown to them, at this very moment, a new threat to humankind is hurtling through the solar system. And as the mysterious invader makes its final approach to Earth, one thing is certain. The peaceful era the human race has enjoyed for the last 5 years is about to come crashing to an end.
A tender reunion between Goku and his friends is cut short when this new threat, Raditz, reveals to Goku that he is actually a member of an alien race called the Saiyans. Oh, and also this.
Fighting Raditz, your big brother.
The Saiyans are a brutal race who genocide entire planets in order to sell them off to the highest bidder. However, there are only 3 of them left, and in order to force Goku into joining them, Raditz kidnaps Goku's son Gohan. Goku is then forced to team up with his arch-nemesis Piccolo in order to defeat his brother and save his son. The 2 of them stand no chance against Raditz, until the anger Gohan feels towards his father's suffering awakens a hidden power deep within him. This leads to them succeeding, but the battle results in Goku's death. Because of the Dragon Balls, Goku's friends plan to bring him back to life, but upon learning about the Dragon Balls, Raditz reveals that the other 2 surviving Saiyans, who were even more powerful than he was, are on their way to Earth to claim the Dragon Balls for themselves, to ensure unlimited power. This is an insane way to start a series. Over here in places like the UK and the US, this was our introduction to Dragon Ball. My god, I also can't even imagine how crazy it must have felt when this dropped in '89 in Japan. 153 episodes into Dragon Ball, and almost 200 chapters deep into the manga, and boom, the main character's an alien. Oh, and he's also, dead. And this has brought us to one of Toriyama's biggest strengths, writing the unexpected. Now, I'm not about to preach about how Dragon Ball is some artistic feat of writing, because it's not. Due to its weekly schedule, Toriyama had to mainly make this shit up as he went along. This resulted in a host of inconsistencies and plot holes, but I would argue that due to this improvisation and flying off the seat of his pants style of writing, Dragon Ball never appeared to me as being predictable. Master Roshi giving up against Tien, Gohan's transition into the hero role, and the introduction of characters like Trunks and Kame, these moments were unexpected, yes, but what makes them truly impactful is how they change the trajectory of the whole series. And the reveal of Goku's heritage is the prime example of this. This reveal changed the entire series. It led to the introduction of some of the most iconic characters and transformations to ever come out of the series. Hell, it basically shifted the entire genre of Dragon Ball from a fantasy series to a sci-fi epic. When I saw these opening episodes of the Saiyan Saga, I was drawn in, but what truly cemented my fascination for the series was the episodes that came after.